we live? Okay.
We're live.
We are live. I'm alive. I hope you are too. Praise God. We have a very healthy county. I think we're 11 days, no new cases in Josephine County. Super grateful for that. If you're tuning in for the first time, well, that's awesome. I don't know how you found us, but we're glad you did. Here's what we're doing. This is a way to stay connected as a church during a time when we can't physically meet. So a lot of times we would have great conversations with you guys, either here in the sanctuary or in the parking lot or grabbing a snack. So we're trying to do the same thing for the next half an hour, 40 minutes. Have a good conversation. So that's what we're trying to do. You're welcome in on the conversation. So you can call us, 541-846-8280. The phone calls have been just piling up recently, so we're very happy about that. We like piled up phone calls. We have a simple philosophy. You go to the front of the line, so you can interrupt whatever we're doing, and we'll mostly be quiet, and we'll try to listen to what you have to say and have a conversation with you. So 541-846-8280, or if you want to, you can be on Facebook, and we had some comments last time on Facebook, so you're welcome to put a comment in on Facebook, and we'll take those when they are when they kind of work in. So either way, we'd love to hear from you. So all we do is we spend about an hour talking with each other and laughing and joking and coming up with whatever we want to talk about.
Can people call if they have questions about the NFL draft tonight?
Who's going to be number one?
Number one pick,
Well, it's Burrow.
easily, Joe Burrow.
Should be Tua.
Should be Herbert.
It's going to be Joe Montana.
Will there be any Beavers drafted?
No.
That's the question.
Joe Montana.
They,
oh, yeah.
The Beavers have that
Hutchins.
receiver. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's ranked pretty
Jordan.
high.
Is it not Hutchins? Yeah.
Hodges.
Hodges.
Something like that?
Yeah, he's supposed to be a, and he's coming out his junior year, filthy animal.
Yeah.
Man.
That hurts.
Depleted.
I know a lot of people are excited just that there's a live sporting event happening tonight. Even though it's not a game, just excited.
I didn't even know it was happening.
So,
I don't much care about the draft. I do like watching college football, though.
yeah.
But the draft,
Yeah.
okay.
So we'll see.
I have no dog in the fight.
Yeah.
So, if you were paying attention to the news, you probably saw this morning. CBS News poll. It was supposed to be across the nation because there would be certain areas that would probably answer these questions very differently than other areas. But they asked this question. If stay-at-home restrictions were lifted, would you be comfortable going to, number one, a bar or restaurant? 29% said yes, 71% no. That's not good news for a restaurant. Question number two, if stay-at-home restrictions were lifted, would you be comfortable going to get on an airplane? 15% yes.
Jeez.
85% no. And United Airlines stock price just dropped to the same price as a barrel of oil. Bummer. Number three, if stay-at-home restrictions were lifted, would you be comfortable going to a large event? That starts getting close to home. 13% yes, 87% no. Wow. I personally would go to a restaurant while getting on a plane to go to a large event. So I would be yes on all those things, but that's me. You're welcome to sound off on that if you have any feeling on that, but that's very interesting when you think about how this has changed really the national perception, especially of large events. Because here's what just intrigues me. You have a couple years ago, a guy who sets himself up in the balcony in Las Vegas, pulls out an arsenal that a small country would have proceeds to shoot people at this concert. Super tragic, super sad. 63 people die. You know, totally horrible. But it didn't change anybody like, no, I'm not gonna go to a concert anymore. Nobody changed. They kept doing what they want to do. I don't know if the disease rate is any different than those numbers, but yet the conversation has been taken so far now that, wow, 87% not going to a large event. What do you guys think?
I was talking with somebody yesterday, and they were sharing with me all these travel deals. Hey, you can go here for this price. You can go here for this price. As soon as things open up, you can book this, you can book that. I think for me, I'm in the same boat. We haven't had a positive COVID test in Josephine County since April 12th. So that's been quite a while. So naturally, I'm feeling pretty good about it. And then when you also show the statistics that say it could be 85 times more people have had it than what they thought, that puts the death rate pretty low. 99.997 or something when you factor that in. So obviously if you're immunocompromised, you probably want to stay away from a big event.
Fully.
For me, I can't wait to do those things again.
Cece and I went to Disneyland 2 weeks after 9/11. It was awesome. No one was there, and so we had the run of the place. I don't know. It's like a lot of statistics from the national media. None of my people, my friends or family would vote this way. So it's crazy to me. But
Yeah.
and the restaurant's gonna be the cleanest one you've ever been to now.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna be hyper
Oh, yeah.
clean. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I found that there was a study out of China where they looked at a sample of 318 COVID cases. And they found 316 of them happened in enclosed areas, usually pretty small. If you've been to China, they're small enclosed areas.
Yeah.
Only 2 of them happened outside. So it's that enclosed area where you're recirculating the same virus or the same air that can get potentially more problematic.
Which would make cruises probably less
Yeah,
desirable.
yeah,
You know, the people that want to travel probably are not going to be going on a cruise.
Yeah. Which is the good news when you have doors that are like, let's see here, how big are these doors? Yeah, they're 20 feet by 50, 60, whatever they are.
Open them up.
Yeah.
We'll just open up doors, bring your coat, and outside as well. So found that interesting.
I think the percentage will be a lot higher when Edgewater opens.
Yeah, so do I.
Local. We'll
I think locally, if they took the same poll here,
be flipped.
it'd be different numbers.
Yeah.
But
It probably would be the opposite. But again, if you want to call in 541-846-8280, we're willing to listen to even
We're willing
other
to be
opinions.
corrected.
Yeah, if we're wrong.
If we're wrong, we're willing to be corrected, which brings us to our next talking point. So it appears hydrochloroquine is not good at defeating COVID-19. There's still probably debate on that. It's a bummer. I mean, no matter where you're at, you want to have something help, so it's not good. I was certainly excited about that. I lived in Vanuatu for a year, and I knew missionaries that had been on a chloroquine derivative for 5-10 years and had nothing, they were walking around enjoying life. So I was like, yeah, I don't think there's long-term problems with it. Maybe it's a different dosage or whatever, I don't know. So what do you do when you're wrong?
Admit it.
Yeah, own it.
Not me, I make excuses and blame people. Why'd you do this to me? It's your fault.
Yeah. Deny first until you're proven wrong.
Yeah,
Then you admit
deny.
you're wrong.
it. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really interesting. I was really thinking if I were in a position or I have somebody close to me that was tested and the health wasn't doing well, and I was thinking, man, I would give them that. At this point, 2 weeks ago, it appears ventilators aren't working. Let's try this,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
ventilators is a whole nother subject too.
Yeah.
Well,
They
we
may
don't-
not be right. But it brings up the big question for, especially a believer, like how do you, when you have made a decision and later on you're found to be wrong, what do you do with that? And I think the key is to just own it.
Absolutely.
Like, I have so much respect for people that are like, hey, I had all the information I could. I talked to people. I gathered all that I could. I made this decision. It seemed like the right decision. But now, more information has come in. Okay, that was the wrong decision. Now let's make the right decision.
Yeah.
Man, I think that's a mature, good person that's making great strides forward in growing.
And if you did make the decision with all the information you had, how could, and I know we don't do this, how do we let pride get in the way of that?
I don't know. We do, though.
We do. We let pride get in the way of something that looking back would be like, well, but I think part of it is because we beat people up so easily when they make a wrong decision. It was not even a wrong decision at the time. Looking back, everybody's a critic, everybody's a referee. And so we're scared to say, hey, or own it. And it just makes it worse. It's like a lie, right? It just grows and grows and grows.
Totally.
And it ruins your credibility the next time.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you guys have questions about that or comments about that, but it's always, the right thing is always the hardest thing, but it's always best, right? The hardest.
It gets it over quick.
Yeah.
You're
Pull
not
the
then
Band-Aid
fighting
off.
it over and over and over and over again.
So
but
do
we
you-
all have this thing called confirmation bias,
Yeah.
where we want to continue to confirm whatever our bias is or whatever decision we make. So we'll selectively ignore certain information and continue to stockpile information that shows, hey, we're right. And every one of us has that.
So what about, okay, so I have children that are in their mid to upper 20s now, getting towards 30. We're all the same age. As I age,
I'm younger
I'm the
than you
oldest.
guys. I'm younger
I
than
am
you
the
guys.
oldest.
I'm the middle. I'm the middle child. That's why I'm not even on the screen half the time.
Can you turn the camera? Right there. Perfect.
As we age, it's harder, it's harder as you age to own your stuff.
It is. Because you got a lot to own.
Yeah, totally. And like my kids, why dad? And trust me, I don't know where you're at watching this. I saw Ashley Erickson was watching this. You got those three littles. As they age, it continues. Why dad? Why dad? My Morgan, why dad? Why dad? To this day, why dad?
Because I said so.
Well, and it's healthy to own it.
Yeah.
And it's humility. Growth comes in humility.
Yeah.
So as I age, I have to remind myself
Yeah.
that I have a lot to own.
Yeah.
I had to tell our middle child that I thought maybe I was wrong on something, and
Maybe. I love that right there. That was
Maybe.
perfect. I thought maybe I was wrong. Not, hey, I blew it. It was. There's a slight possibility that I could
I may have
have.
overreacted here, so I'm gonna backtrack and yeah.
Do you guys have a personal experience in that recently or in the past where
I've
you look
never
back?
been wrong.
Never.
I'm waiting.
I get paid to be right.
I tell my kids, like, my oldest will say, "You're treating Myron different than you treated me," and I'm like, "Of course." Can I grow?
I didn't know anything
Like,
back then.
You don't want me to grow? You want me to like do the same mistakes with Myron that I made with you?
Yeah.
And so she's like, "Oh, okay."
That makes sense.
Oh yeah, we do that all the time. Cece and I, our kids now have been out of the house for quite a while. They're all three married, and we have other children live with us, and we have Marissa now, and I think that's awesome. But I'm a little more lenient in some areas, and my kids are like, "Hey,
Yeah, that's
And it's
not
not just because Marissa's a chosen kid or anything. It's just I'm just different.
Ah,
I'm better.
please let me grow,
I'm
man.
47, not 25.
I'm too tired to fight.
Well, it's just not worth fighting. It's
No,
not something. It's not a deal breaker.
You know what a mountain is and you know what a molehill
Yeah.
is. And you're like, yeah, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Well, and then look how important that is theologically, Matt.
It is.
Your philosophies of theology. And I think one of the beauties of a non-denominational church is we have this melting pot. And even in our foyer or even in your home groups or conversations over coffee, we're all being rubbed that way
Yeah.
in a non-denominational setting when we're teaching biblical theology, and which it kind of rubs against some systems, not in a negative on purpose or anything, but it's I didn't think of it that way. I remember the first time I heard, and you shared it, but when I really grasped that just because in the Bible isn't because God wanted it there.
Yeah.
That's not what God wanted.
It's a
Oh.
recording of history.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, polygamy and
Well,
slavery and all these things. I was like, oh, it was so helpful. I'd never heard that before. That was so helpful. I'm like, whoop, I was wrong.
Yeah. Thankfully, that set me free.
And when the church does that, then the gospel can get out of the way and let the gospel go.
Yeah.
The church gets in the way with that. So.
Yeah. I have a real simple thing in my head for theology when it comes to like what I'm going to do. And I have a very small category of I'll die for these things.
Yeah.
Right? I'll die for the gospel. I'll die for the position of Jesus in the cosmos. I'll die for the authority of Scripture. I'll die for sin. And then it's like massive underneath that, right?
And growing.
Things that I'll divide for, it's just simply, bro, man, I love you, but there's no way we can worship together.
Yeah.
Like the way that you express your faith for Jesus is beautiful
For you.
but it bothers me. And I just can't do it, man. I'm sorry. And it's my problem. So you go your way and I'm going to go my way. It's Acts 16. Paul says I'm headed this way. Barnabas says I'm headed that way. And then there's nothing wrong with that. And then there's a bunch that I'll debate for. Hey, let's chat about that. Let's just have a debate for it. And then I have a huge category that, honestly, I don't really care. And I love to have a conversation on it, but if you are like adamantly, I'll just be like, hey, that's awesome, good for you. And you're not gonna get me anymore. And it used to be the other way around. My die for a category was massive, and I would fight on every single minute point, and it was just exhausting. And it's so much healthier for me personally to say, these are the ones that are core, die for. The rest are, hey, you're inside Orthodox Christianity, and praise God. And it's okay to see things differently. And you'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out.
You'll come to your senses at some point and realize I'm right.
And mistakes aren't bad.
No.
I was thinking
Right.
of what we're going through right now when you talk about that drugs, maybe it's not going to work or maybe it's wrong. During the Civil War, they did what's called bloodletting. So the way doctors would heal would be draining blood.
Get that
if
nasty
those
stuff out of you, man.
Drain blood. Imagine if doctors had never humbled themselves and said, this is wrong. We have to stop doing this. We would have, clearly it would have been
I just
bad.
want to answer one question real quick. This is a divide for. Ashley Erickson says, "What's your favorite fast food restaurant?" Letting you have a little peek behind the curtain here if we answer these things. So Matt, what's your favorite fast food restaurant? Because I'm actually offended because someone must be profiling because I have a bigger stature, or physicalness. So you must think I eat at fast food restaurants. But my favorite fast food restaurant is Chipotle. What's yours, Matt?
Since we're in Grants Pass, I'm gonna stick to GP.
Oh.
I'm gonna have to say In-N-Out Burger because I like the protein animal style double. So good.
I like how Ashley's a PK and she got us off of the theology
Yeah.
and onto
Pretty
the-
quickly.
Yeah.
Onto what really matters, food.
Yeah, In-N-Out and Chick-fil-A is a close
Oh yeah,
second.
don't.
Chick-fil-A is
Ashley
close
Nelson
second.
called you out and said yours is Chick-fil-A. Oh yeah, you said that, Chick-fil-A.
Yeah,
Right on.
close second.
Yeah.
Matt, you said, when we admit we're wrong, then we can start to see where we can grow, right?
Yeah.
And so like a real practical thing is look at innovation. Look at Thomas Edison. He grew and grew and grew. And just how many times
Yeah.
did he try to make a light bulb? Yeah, thousands of
I
times.
found 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb. Not I failed. No.
Yeah.
I was successful in finding 1,000 ways not to do this. So I just got to check them off. I tell young men all the time, bro, that's in your heart. Go check it off your list. I don't know if it's right or wrong. I don't know if you should do that or not, but you better answer that question. And if it's wrong, it'll become apparent. And then you're able to just be like, okay, I found I'm not supposed to do that.
What do you
Good
think?
for you?
What do you think the fear of trying is? So,
Failure.
Failure.
We're
Totally.
so afraid of failing.
But what's failure?
We should love failure.
What's failure?
Failure is the fertilizer to do things better.
Right.
That's what it is. You're just mounting up fertilizer, man.
Do you think it's mostly in America? Fear of failure is a fear of comfort?
No,
Lack of comfort?
fear of failure is my identity is so
Tied up.
tied up with this idea or this goal that it becomes everything for me. Where a believer is, no way, I find my identity in Jesus
Right.
and that I am a child of his and this is his beautiful creation that he has given to me and now I get to express that in any way that's within the guidelines that's not a sin. And I'm gonna go for it and I can't fail because all things work together for good to those that love God and are called according to his purpose. Hey, man, go. right? When you see the accretion account, like if you read it, you should be like, why is it talking about the gold
Right.
and precious stones and all this stuff there? Why is it saying that? It's saying God's giving you all these raw materials. Go play. Go play. Go build stuff, right? Like kids, hey, this is all yours. Go play. We should be the most innovative, unfearful people in the world. Because mistakes, you never know what a mistake will do for you. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
So the Amazon Fire Phone. If you own one, you're one of 3 people
You said
in
that
the
fast.
entire world.
Can you say that slower? Because there's people that may not have caught what you said.
The Amazon Fire Phone.
People probably don't even know that existed.
No.
Yeah. So it was Amazon's 1.5 billion challenge to the iPhone. And in 2014, they pulled the plug. The guy that was heading the Amazon Fire Phone came into Jeff's office and handed in his resignation and said, I'm a failure. I blew it. I'm out. And Jeff said, no, you're not. What'd you learn? And they start talking about, what had happened. And in the conversation, he's like, well, we designed this system where we have this ability for artificial intelligence to know what you're saying. And Jeff was like, what? Well, guess what that became?
Alexa.
Alexa.
Yeah.
Guess how much Alexa has made the company Amazon now?
Who knows?
It's over 20 billion.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So 1.5 billion in, 20 billion back.
That's
Why?
crazy.
Because they're like, no, that wasn't a failure. We had to have learned something. What did we learn? Man, yeah, a mistake. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't have tried to make the phone, but there had to be something good. Failure is a fertilizer for future growth.
I like the humility of the guy going, man, I tried.
I love that.
It didn't work.
I
But then
owned it.
love
I'm not
Jeff
blaming
Bezos.
somebody,
Yeah,
right?
Not blaming somebody. I thought it would work.
It's really a good lesson in leadership.
But he can only do that, I bet, because he knows he gave his all.
And I bet
Yeah.
you Jeff has a record of failure behind him.
Well, he
right?
probably shares it.
Yeah.
People aren't free to fail unless they know that it's okay to fail.
Yeah.
So with your friend, your kids, your relationships, that's where the grace comes in. Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So a good leader says me too. A
Yeah.
good husband, wife, friend. Yeah, me too. And share those things so that people can learn from them. And the wisdom, right? So Matt, you were sharing, you brought up today when you walked in the young Maasai, the Maasai tribe
Yeah.
in Kenya. And they know who they are. And you said you read a book. You read a book this morning. Could you reference that for us?
Yeah, it's J.C. Ryle's, and it's titled Thoughts for Young Men. And it's written in 1887. And so I grabbed this quote out of it. He says this is 1887. That's a long time ago. And we can look back on history and be like, oh, they had it so good then. Listen to what he says. Let us ask the magistrates and officers of justice, and mark what they will reply. Who go to public houses and beer shops most? Who are the greatest Sabbath breakers? Who make up riotous mobs and seditious meetings? Who are often taken up for drunkenness, breaches of the peace, fighting, poaching, stealing, assaults, and the like? Who fill the jails and the penitentiaries and convict ships? Who are the class which require the most incessant watching and looking after? They will at once point to the same quarter. They will say, the old men.
Not the old man.
The young men, right?
Young man.
Nothing's changed. That was 150 years ago. And he's looking out he was an Anglican pastor in England, and he's looking out on his congregation saying, man, what's up with our young men? What's up with them? And so for me, the contrast was in Africa, you see the Maasai who are very confident in who they are. They, like body posture, I didn't know their language, but the way that they carried themselves when you would meet them, it's like you met a man. And they were young guys. They were probably 18, 19 years old. But they had such a calm strength to them.
Confidence.
They dressed different than anyone else, They didn't try to fit in. They carried around this jug of milk and blood in their hand, and they're just walking down the streets, and they stood out like nothing else. But they're like this fearless kind of person where you had to dude, I had to go talk to him. I want to know you.
You were
You
drawn to
have
them.
something.
You were drawn
and
to
it's
them.
awesome, right? They're very confident. Maybe it's because they have a rite of passage. Go out and kill a lion. Take this stick and you go kill a lion. Oh my goodness. How would that not make you a man? Either you're gonna be dead or a man. That's your two choices. So it's just this clear, you were a boy, you've done this, and now you're a man. And there's something healthy about that. And I think in America, for all of our great things and cool things and how we let young men figure out a lot of stuff and lots of opportunities and independence, what we've sacrificed in that is that confident, this is who you are, you're a Messiah. You're a lion killer. We take care of cattle. And we're not influenced by this culture. They just have that. And somehow to bring in the best of what we have with opportunity and freedom and growth, and you take in the best of that kind of culture, man, if you could pair those two, oh man, it'd be amazing.
I had a relative that said, kids around the same age, she said about her boy, I don't remember what the conversation was, but she said, I'm not raising a boy, I'm raising a man. And that stuck with me. I thought, yeah, that's the goal. We want to be clear about what we're doing here as parents.
Yeah. I know, and I've referenced this book so many times, but it was that influential for me. It's Richard Rohr's book, Adam's Return. And it's about young men, but he said something that I'll never forget. He said, young men especially are always looking for greatness. That's why they love heroes. It's why they're, the LeBron James or whoever it is, the Marcus Mariotas, the superhero comics. They're tuned in for greatness. Their hearts are tuned in for it. But he said this, if by 14 or 15 they have not experienced greatness, cynicism goes deep into their heart and they check out. So if you've ever watched the movie Incredibles, which is still one of my hands down favorite movies, he comes home from work one day and he's just like, hates his job and tries to shut the door and it won't shut and he breaks the window. So he picks up the whole car and he's about ready to throw it. And there's this little kid and he's on his trike and he's like blowing a bubble and goes, and he's like, what do you want, kid? And his answer was, oh, what are you looking for, kid? He goes, I don't know. Something awesome, I guess. And I'm like, that's it.
It is true.
That's what every
so
kid
true.
is. He's out on his trike, riding around his little neighborhood. What's he looking for? Something awesome,
Something
I guess.
awesome.
That's in the heart of every child.
Do you think that, and this is obviously a male-dominated perspective right now today with this panel, but do you think that men quit looking for something awesome as they age and then forget to share that with the younger men?
Oh, I think we become trained fleas.
Yeah, totally.
Right? You hit a glass ceiling too many times with your head,
Yeah.
and you just give up. And deep cynicism has settled into your heart, and you no longer look out for the goodness of God in the world, and you're no longer optimistic, and you're no longer excited about waking up in the morning, and you just become this circus flea, fully.
Lose the wonder of God,
Yeah.
the wonder of creation.
Yeah. You lose the exploration of learning new things, and everything I've read on how to age well is keep learning. Be excited, right? Genesis 2. Gold and precious stones are out there, man. Experience it. Go use it. Go learn. Go try new things. So for me personally, I'm always even if I know, hey, this is dumb, I'll never use this, or it's not going to make money, or there's no legitimate reason to do it, I still say, for the discipline of learning, I'm going to check this out.
Try it.
And I'm going to try it. And if I fail, I learned something. I trust I trust Romans 8:28. Okay. There's no failure.
We have a scrap pile of wood, and my boys know where the saws are and stuff, and
Fully.
they'll randomly build something, and it might not work, and then sometimes they'll make something that works, and it's just I just let them go for it. you know?
Totally.
So
Yeah.
and it's been pretty healthy. But this conversation reminds me of something I used to tell my basketball team, and as I would tell them, I'm kind of reminding myself of what you're saying. When I coached basketball, I used to say up 20, down 20, and it was a reminder for us that whether we're up 20 points or we're down 20 points, we do not quit trying. We do what we do. We play. We don't make excuses about officials. We forget how good the other team is. We forget how bad the other team is. We focus on what we're doing and we do it to the best of our ability.
And no excuses, not blaming someone
Yeah.
else, right?
Yeah, keep going, just keep going, keep going.
You're gonna learn something, you're gonna get better, you're gonna develop, if you push through this.
Totally.
That quote, or the book you read from 1887, it actually surprises me how this has always been a problem.
Yeah.
And you think with the breakdown of the family, the change that we've had in the last 150 years, especially the last 50 years, that it would have been exasperated. What's that word? How do you say that?
Exaggerated, amplified.
Exasperated, amplified, but it really hasn't, just different. And I guess to call it, that maybe it's changed, but here's what I'm trying to say. There's always a need and an opportunity for us to push the younger generation to keep striving. And that's all they were saying there is keep pushing our young people. In that particular tone, they used men, but young men, but man, just keep pressing and encouraging and exhorting where needed. And there's a big difference between exhortation and encouragement. I think it's the big, Matt, you brought up a comment, you asked us a question. We went on a staff retreat, what was it, January, February? We went over and had a staff working.
Before social distancing.
It was before,
Yeah.
a staff working retreat, and you asked a question. You threw out this really broad, one of the questions you had us to ponder and philosophize or whatever, was if you could start a community today, where would you start? And for me, my answer instantly always goes to the family and young men, equipping and preparing and encouraging them to be who God created them to be. And they're getting robbed in our culture right now for a lot of reasons. And we could have days and days of these conversations, but man, those that are listening or watching, be praying for the church, your families, and our young men.
I agree. I think that when I read Ryle's book, I thought it has not changed, so there has to be a common enemy.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Genesis 3.
Yeah, Satan.
The serpent's trying to take out men because they're image bearers, and he knows the potential of a strong man, what a strong, confident, Messiah gospel man could do. And so if he can wound and let cynicism and darkness creep into a 14-year-old's heart through all the ways that he uses, drugs, porn, disappointment, dad didn't hug me, whatever it is, whatever blame and excuse somebody wants to make, if he can get that cynicism into their heart at 14, then the greatness of the image-bearing capacity of that child is removed and his kingdom thrives. And so prayer is huge. Pray for your kids. Pray for your grandkids.
Yeah. I had this experience last year mentoring a 15-year-old young man that's not related to me. This is actually kind of through the school system. I'm not going to say the kid's name or anything, but worked with him for a long time and has a lot of obstacles that the world, that generations, poverty, homelessness, a lot of hard things in his life. And he was just crushed. And after months, I sat down and I pulled out a pen and paper. I said, write down all the things that are out of your control, that you're just overwhelming you, completely out of your control. And he took a pen and paper and he wrote them down. He wrote down like 10 things. And they were things that I haven't been accustomed to. It doesn't have laundry. Doesn't have clean clothes, doesn't have good clothes, haircut, these things. And I was like, wow. The only thing on the list that he couldn't control was who his parents were. Okay. But I said to this guy, I said, so you can't do laundry? No, I can't. I said, well, I'll do your laundry. Just start removing the obstacles and opening their eyes to victimhood. And I don't have those problems. I didn't have those obstacles. But if somebody will walk with you and show you that there's always a way, you know, and I related it to God. This kid doesn't know the Lord at this point, but I said, look, if you'll just let God, I think these things can happen. So I don't know why I said that, but I just think victimhood is so important right now to be talking about. Like, no excuses.
Yeah.
You're late because you chose to.
Yeah.
Right? Or you didn't get that done because you chose to.
No.
There wasn't anything in your way. And I've had to change my perception on that, you know, and I try not to make excuses because actually they're a lie.
Yeah.
I think it's,
But you have to listen first, right?
Yeah.
Like too often we make the judgment on the front end.
Yeah.
This guy's just whatever, lazy or a sluggard or whatever. You better, before I ever say before I diagnose your illness, better listen to your symptoms really well and carefully, because there are legitimate, okay, all right, no, that's legitimate.
Totally.
All right. Yeah,
Okay, let's work the problem.
yeah, listen,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
I think it's important if you don't know us that you should know that we all have daughters and we support them and they are fierce and they're strong and we have wives who are amazing and talented. We do see though clearly that there is a weakness in our culture in raising young men. You know, it's not that we don't value those things. If you don't know us, we 100% do, absolutely.
Girls are dominating right now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? What,
Yeah.
75% of
Medical
valedictorians
school, medical
are
school, yeah.
girls. The majority of college graduates are girls. The majority of like your high-end professional jobs now are the graduates are girls. So, and that's awesome, man. Praise God for that. We don't want to take anything away from them, but something is happening where boys are like satisfied with video games and pornography and drugs, and we gotta that's going to hurt us.
Well, I think they have hope deferred for the awesome.
Yeah, yeah. It's more in boys than it is in girls. Those kind of things. Yeah.
To this topic, Tawana Grabars, we love Tawana and Stacy, you're watching. She said, in light of this subject, Hebrews 5:8, she said, could you speak to the son? Though he learned obedience from what he suffered. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to speak to that, but it's a good verse.
So in Adam's return, he said one of his main points is life is suffering. Mm-hmm. Get used to it. Mm-hmm. So instead of becoming a cynic about it and running from it, learn obedience from it. Like, this is not bad. Suffering's not bad. So my statement from that is to my kids all the time, hard's not bad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hard's not bad. How do you think you get better? You got to go through hard. Hard is not bad. Mm-hmm. So that's what, 100%. You learn something from hard.
Didn't Jordan Peterson, the beginning of 12 Rules for Life, talk about the human condition, or what every human has to deal with is suffering?
Yeah.
How you deal with suffering will shape
Fully.
your life.
So
Because we all
important.
have suffering in some form.
Yeah.
We say lifting the bar with no weights doesn't make you stronger. You know what I mean? You
Dang.
can work out with the bar, no weights on it.
I
You're
don't
not gonna
do
get
that.
stronger. We have a question that came in from Ed. He said, what is pride of life? Is it being overly exuberant, joyful, exulting in the glory of mountains, trees, rivers, etc.? Or am I totally wrong on that?
No, those are all excellent things.
Yeah, those
man.
are great.
Yeah.
Pride of life.
Yeah. So I think it's a negative thing in John's epistle, and it's the idea that the life that you have, the life that I have, is solely a manifestation of my own power and abilities. So it's, I am master of my destiny. I am master of my fate. I've done it, I've killed it, I've got it. When in reality, everything that you have is a gift from God. The breath you're taking, the opportunities that are before you, the gold, bdellium, all that stuff, God put it there, right? So the pride of life is believing that somehow you got the life you have got by your own power. Instead of recognizing, the book of Proverbs begins with this, the fear of the Lord. It's understanding God's place in the world and your place in the world. Mm-hmm. And that's the beginning of wisdom and knowledge and instruction. He's God and you're not.
Yeah.
And be thankful for the sun that shines on you. Be thankful the rain that comes. You did not create that. That's a gift from God. So pride of life is ignoring the God that gave you all this stuff to partner with him and use. Mm-hmm. So
Here's a common comment, and I'm not going to read this person's name, but this is a common. So this person says, I 100% see with this, going back to the young men thing, I 100% see this with my own son, who's almost 16. No matter how many family dinners, Bible verses, encouragement, love, Christ, etc., we have shared with him, his heart is hardened, and it breaks my heart. But I keep praying each day and trust God in his sovereignty, even through this. Yeah, that's what you get. So I want to reference something Matt shared a while ago, a long time ago, about raising kids, and a comment that you made about, and it really is about relationships, is it stacking kindling. Mm-hmm. You just keep stacking kindling, and you're not going to light the fire in anybody's life, their spirit. God's going to do that. The Holy Spirit breathes life into us. You pray, you serve, you model it, you're kind, you're generous, you lead a Jesus life. And then your kids and the Lord work it out. And so don't, I know that's a heartbreaking thing. I get it. But also know that you're doing your part.
Let it get hot.
Yeah.
Man, if that kindling's gonna ignite, sometimes you gotta let their life get hot.
Yeah.
The worst thing you do is keep throwing water on them and saving them from things. No, you got yourself in this, it's gonna get hot.
And the bigger
I'll walk with you through this. I'm not gonna abandon you.
Yeah.
But hot's not bad.
But don't stop stacking kindling.
Yeah.
I have a personal story with this, and I hope this helps. About 7-8 years ago, our son Austin, who loved him, he's probably watching this. He works graveyard. He called me. He was in a tough spot. He was making some decisions. His mom and I were going, really? And he called me, and I was driving somewhere to Portland for work or something. And he called me. He goes, "Hey, Dad, are you disappointed in me?" And I was like, big pause. I was like, no way, man. Am I bummed out in some of the decisions you're making right now? Yeah. But am I disappointed in you? I'm just disappointed for you, bro. You're missing out on what God's got for you. And I really am thankful that the Lord gave me that word, because sometimes as a parent, you're just at your wit's end, you know? And sometimes it's your own identity you're worried about. But a lot of times you're just bummed for your kid. You want them to know how great God is and how much he wants for them. But that's God's heart for us. He's not disappointed in us. He knows, just like we know our kids. He just wants better for us.
Wants more.
Yeah, so I hope that helps you, because that really helped me in that season. And relationship-wise now, I'm not disappointed in people. I'm bummed for them what they're missing out on.
Yeah. And you can do a little bit of like flint work, I guess. If you can get them on the mission field or something, really good things can happen. And sometimes that's a family decision. We're going to Africa together. We're going to go to the Nairobi slums.
Yeah.
And there can be that can be the catalyst for God's Spirit to just ignite something in them. Whoa. Okay.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great question.
Question from Heath. My grandmother died a month ago, and she brought us here from Oklahoma to Oregon in 2000. Been here for 20 years. It's hard that she's gone, and I can't stop thinking about her. Do we get to see loved ones again when we go to heaven?
Yes.
From Heath.
Great cloud of witnesses are going to greet us. Hebrews chapter 12, 1 through 3. Every tongue, every tribe, every nation. So, Revelation. Absolutely. And it's right to feel that way, because death is the greatest enemy. So you should hate death, because it's not natural.
I think that's all we've got for questions. We could save this topic for another show.
Yeah, we will. All right.
All right.
It was great being with you guys. Jesus, thanks for this day. May we see your goodness in the land of the living today. May we not allow cynicism and darkness to invade the light that you have called. So this day, may we both see your light and be lights in our community. And we ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Where I gave you my life. And even though yesterday seems so far away, I know you're still by my side.